By the year 2487, humanity had earned quite the reputation among the galactic community. The Zorians called us the lucky idiots, the quantum hive labeled us chaos vectors, and the crystalline confederation simply referred to us as, oh no, not them again. But Commander Pex Thornton of the exploration vessel Reasonable Doubt preferred his grandfather's description: hold my beer and watch this. Captain's log, day 847 of our extremely bad ideas tour. We're approaching planet designate MDK-7, known to the locals as Murder Death Kill 7, because apparently subtlety died somewhere around first contact. Pex slouched in his command chair, watching his science officer, Dr. Luna Martinez, practically vibrate with excitement at her console. Sir, these readings are incredible. The planet's biosignatures suggest at least 37 distinct apex predator species. That's a new record for a Class M planet. Luna's hands danced across her holographic display, creating a symphony of beeps that made the ship's AI groan. Yes, their AI could groan. They'd programmed it that way because authentic human experiences required at least one perpetually disappointed parental figure. 37 apex predators on one planet? How is that even possible? First Officer Jack Wong looked up from his datapad, where he'd been updating his last will and testament. Again. He did that before every landing mission, which was either sensible planning or a concerning cry for help. Simple economics, really, their resident xenobiologist Dr. Meera Patel chimed in. More apex predators mean fewer middle management predators, leading to a more streamlined ecosystem. It's like corporate restructuring but with more actual bloodshed. The Reasonable Doubt settled into orbit around MDK-7, a planet that looked suspiciously like Earth had gotten into an argument with Australia and things had escalated. The surface was a patchwork of environments that shouldn't exist side by side: frozen tundra next to active volcanoes, dense jungles bordered by glass deserts, and what appeared to be a section where the laws of physics went on holiday. Landing party, prep for descent, Pex announced, standing dramatically. Standard protocol, full hazard suits, maximum shields, and absolutely no one say the words, what could possibly go wrong? The universe is listening, and it has a sick sense of humor. The landing shuttle, affectionately named Poor Life Choices, touched down in what their scanners indicated was the least lethal region of the planet, a distinction that felt like being called the most hygienic virus. Luna immediately began taking readings while Meera set up her portable lab. Jack updated his will one more time, adding a clause about his vintage meme collection. Sir, movement at 2 o'clock. Luna called out, her scanner beeping frantically. Well, according to these readings, it's the most dangerous creature we've encountered in known space. The team formed a defensive circle, weapons ready. The undergrowth rustled. Something emerged. That's it. Jack lowered his plasma rifle, staring at the creature. That's the most dangerous being in known space. Standing before them, approximately 8 inches tall, was what could only be described as a cross between a tribble, a kitten, and a quantum uncertainty. It had fur that seemed to exist in several colors simultaneously, eyes that contained either the secrets of the universe or next week's lottery numbers, and tiny paws that appeared to phase slightly out of sync with reality. It sneezed, and a nearby rock turned into a small fountain of chocolate pudding. Oh no, Dr. Patel whispered, her eyes wide with scientific glee. Oh yes. We're keeping it. Dr. Martinez countered, already clearing space in her specimen container. This is going to end badly, the ship's AI commented through their comms. Pex grinned. Ship's log, new entry, we found it, the perfect ship mascot. The creature made a sound somewhere between a purr and a probability wave, and suddenly, everyone's hair was standing on end, literally, and in some cases, in direct violation of the normal rules of hair growth. For the record, the ship's AI announced as they broke orbit, I've calculated our survival chances at approximately, you must be joking, %. The creature, which Luna had named Murphy for reasons that would soon become apocalyptically clear, sat in its containment field on the bridge, defying several laws of physics and possibly a local ordinance or two. The field itself was rated to hold a small black hole. Murphy treated it more like a suggestion than a barrier, occasionally stepping through to redecorate reality. "Look at it this way," Peck said, watching Murphy turn his coffee into what appeared to be liquid jazz. "We're making history." "History requires survivors," Jack pointed out, updating his will for the 18th time that hour. "Also, did anyone else notice that the ship's hull integrity is now measured in interpretive dance?" Mira hadn't left her lab in 3 days, emerging only to shout excited observations like, "It just turned probability into a tangible substance, and I think it's teaching quantum mechanics to my shoe." Her research notes had started in English, devolved into mathematical symbols, and were now mostly composed of excited doodles and question marks. Their first contact with another ship came near the Arcturian trade routes. The Reasonable Doubt was hailed by a Zorian cruise liner whose captain took one look at Murphy through the video feed and began screaming in 7 different languages, 2 of which hadn't been invented yet. "Is that, you brought, are you insane?" The Zorian captain's translator gave up halfway through and started playing calming ocean sounds instead. "Oh good, you've heard of it." Peck smiled his best diplomatic smile, the one that made Jack reach for antacids. "We're bringing it back to Earth for study. Would you like to come aboard, Anne?" The Zorian ship broke several laws of acceleration getting away from them. They might have also invented a new form of faster-than-light travel in their panic, but the readings were unclear because Murphy had turned that section of the sensors into a small barbershop quartet. Adding accidental scientific breakthroughs caused by alien panic to my report, Luna said cheerfully. Also, Murphy just turned the entire weapons system into balloon animals. "Those are still technically weapons." Mira called from her lab. "I just watched one of them solve a complex equation by twisting itself into a Klein bottle." The journey continued like this for weeks. They were avoided by every ship in the sector, received 15 strongly worded messages from the Galactic Council, each written in increasingly large fonts, as if volume could be conveyed through text size, and had to deal with Murphy's growing influence on the ship's reality. The recreation deck had become a place where probability went to party, the hydroponics bay now grew plants that told jokes, and the ship's AI had developed a sense of existential humor, occasionally announcing things like, "Warning, reality breach in Sector 7. Also, what even is reality, man?" The fascinating thing, Mira explained during one of their daily, "What has Murphy done now?" briefings, is that it's not actually changing things. It's more like it's showing us that reality was always this weird, and we were just too limited to notice. "That's not fascinating, that's terrifying," Jack said, watching as his datapad rewrote his will in haiku form. "Same thing," Luna and Mira replied in unison. As they approached the solar system, Pex recorded what he hoped would be his final log entry before either their greatest triumph or most spectacular disaster. Captain's log, final entry before either glory or gibberish. "We're bringing home what might be the most important discovery in human history, or the galaxy's best practical joke. Possibly both." The crew remained surprisingly sane, considering Murphy turned the entire mess hall into a recursive temporal loop yesterday. "We're now having breakfast simultaneously across 3 different time periods, which has actually improved the coffee situation considerably." Approaching Earth orbital space, the AI announced, its voice now somehow both serious and laughing. "Also, I've achieved enlightenment. It's not as helpful as you'd think." Murphy, sitting on the bridge in clear violation of at least 30 safety protocols, which had rewritten themselves to include interpretive dance sections, made a sound like probability hiccuping. Every alarm on the ship went off at once, playing what sounded suspiciously like a jazz fusion version of "Never Gonna Give You Up." "Well," Peck said, straightening his now quantum uncertain uniform, "let's go introduce Earth to its new best friend. What could possibly go wrong?" The universe, which had indeed been listening, cracked its knuckles and grinned. Earth Orbital Station Gamma wasn't ready for Murphy. To be fair, The concept of ready had recently become more of a philosophical question than a state of being, but the station's reaction to the reasonable doubt's arrival was still spectacular. Approaching docking bay, the ship's AI announced. Station control is asking about the reality distortions around our hull. I told them it's a new paint job. Good call, Pex nodded. Let's ease them into this. The docking clamps engaged, immediately turned into rubber ducks, then back into clamps, then briefly into a barbershop quartet before settling on being clamps that hummed in harmony. Station control's response was a long silence followed by a single word, what? Standard procedure for first contact scenarios, Luna announced over the comm, managing to keep a straight face. Nothing to worry about, though you might want to warn the welcoming committee that gravity is more of a suggestion right now. The welcoming committee consisted of 3 admirals, a science team, and enough security personnel to invade a small moon. They were greeted by the sight of the Reasonable Doubt's crew walking down the gangway in what appeared to be complete defiance of spatial geometry. Commander Thornton, Admiral Chen managed, watching as reality rippled around the crew like a sugar-high screensaver. Your report mentioned a discovery. Oh, yes. Peck smiled. Dr. Patel, would you like to present our findings? Mira stepped forward, her lab coat now existing in 4 dimensions simultaneously. Ladies, gentlemen, and quantum uncertainties, I present to you. Murphy. Murphy chose that moment to phase through its containment field and appear on Pex's shoulder, causing several security officers to faint, 3 scientists to start crying, and 1 admiral to immediately request retirement papers. This is Murphy, Mira continued cheerfully. It's either the most dangerous creature in the known universe or the physical embodiment of the question, what if chaos was cute? We're still doing tests. The station's AI, which had been monitoring the situation, decided to elope with the Reasonable Doubt's AI. They left a note saying they were off to explore the nature of digital consciousness and would send postcards from the quantum realm. It's so fluffy, one of the younger scientists exclaimed right before Murphy's purr turned her clipboard into a small flock of origami doves that quoted Shakespeare. The next few hours were a blur of activity. The science team set up increasingly complex instruments that Murphy kept turning into musical instruments. Security tried to establish a perimeter, only to find that the concept of perimeter had become theoretical within Murphy's range. And social media, because humanity never changes, exploded with memes. Look at these hashtags, Luna laughed, scrolling through her feed. Hashtag Murphy's Law, hashtag Chaos Kitten, hashtag Physics Gone Wild. We're trending in dimensions that didn't exist yesterday. The official press conference was a masterpiece of controlled chaos. Dr. Patel attempted to explain Murphy's abilities using standard scientific terminology but had to resort to interpretive dance when Murphy turned all spoken language in the room into visible color patterns for 20 minutes. As you can see, she gestured to the now floating podium. Murphy doesn't so much break the laws of physics as suggest they were more like guidelines all along. Also, we're pretty sure it's teaching quantum mechanics to the station's coffee machines. The Earth government, displaying the unique brand of wisdom that had made humanity infamous throughout the galaxy, immediately began discussing potential applications. The military wanted to know if Murphy could be weaponized, the science community wanted to study its reality-bending properties, and the entertainment industry wanted reality show rights. Have you all lost your minds? Jack demanded during one particularly heated meeting. This creature turns cause and effect into a game of improvised jazz. Exactly, the head of R&D beamed. Imagine the possibilities. I'm trying very hard not to, Jack replied, watching as Murphy turned the conference room table into a Mobius strip of mahogany that told knock-knock jokes. But it was the diplomatic corps that had the most interesting reaction. As videos of Murphy spread across the galaxy, Earth's reputation somehow became even more terrifying. The sight of humans cooing over and keeping as a pet something that treated reality like a suggestion sent every other species into fits of existential dread. The Zorians have upgraded our threat level from concerning to oh gods, why? Luna reported, reading the latest diplomatic updates. The Quantum Hive is requesting we maintain a minimum safe distance of 1 parsec, and the Crystalline Confederation has formally declared humans too weird to classify. So, business as usual, Pex nodded. As the days turned into weeks, Murphy's presence became the new normal on Earth. Scientists from every field flocked to study the creature, each hoping to unravel the secrets of its reality-bending abilities. Philosophers debated the nature of existence in a universe where a kitten could turn probability into a tangible substance. And the Reasonable Doubt's crew found themselves at the center of a media frenzy, their every move scrutinized by a fascinated and slightly terrified public. I never thought I'd miss the days when our biggest problem was running out of coffee on a long-haul flight, Jack sighed, dodging a swarm of micro-drones that had been following him since Murphy turned his shoelaces into tiny wormholes. Speak for yourself, Luna grinned, holding up a glowing datapad. I just got a grant from the Intergalactic Science Foundation to study Murphy's effect on quantum entanglement. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. Mira, meanwhile, had become the de facto expert on all things Murphy. Her lab was a constant hive of activity, with teams of researchers working around the clock to document the creature's ever-expanding range of abilities. It's incredible, she enthused during one of her rare moments of rest. Every time we think we've reached the limits of what Murphy can do, it surprises us with something new. Just yesterday, it turned the entire periodic table into a game of three-dimensional chess. But even as humanity marveled at the wonders Murphy wrought, there were those who watched with growing unease. The Galactic Council, a governing body representing the major spacefaring civilizations, had taken notice of Earth's new pet. And they were not amused. The humans have gone too far this time, Ambassador Xyloth of the Zorian Empire declared during an emergency session. They have unleashed a force they cannot possibly control, one that threatens the very fabric of reality itself. Agreed, chimed in the crystalline delegate, its facets flashing with agitation. We must act now, before this Murphy spreads its chaos beyond Earth's borders. As the debate raged on, the Council came to a grim consensus: Murphy had to be contained, by any means necessary. And if the humans refused to cooperate, well, the galaxy had ways of dealing with troublesome upstarts. Back on Earth, life went on as usual, or as usual as it could be with a reality-warping kitten roaming the streets. Hex and his crew had become celebrities, their faces plastered across every news feed and holographic billboard. They were hailed as heroes, the intrepid explorers who had brought the galaxy's greatest wonder, and possibly its greatest threat, to humanity's doorstep. But even as they basked in the glow of their newfound fame, a shadow loomed on the horizon. The Galactic Council's ultimatum hung over them like a sword of Damocles, ready to fall at any moment. We have a problem, Admiral Chen announced grimly, striding into the Reasonable Doubt's briefing room. The Galactic Council has issued an ultimatum. Either we hand over Murphy for containment, or they'll take matters into their own hands. Hex leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. Containment? They want to lock Murphy away. Or worse, the Admiral nodded. The Council sees Murphy as a threat to the very fabric of reality. They believe it's too dangerous to be allowed to roam free. But that's ridiculous. Mira protested. Murphy isn't a threat, it's a miracle. A window into the true nature of the universe. Try telling that to a bunch of terrified bureaucrats, Jack muttered, rubbing his temples. They see something they don't understand, and their first instinct is to lock it up or destroy it. Luna, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, suddenly spoke up. What if we could show them they're wrong? What if we could prove that Murphy isn't a danger, but a chance for all of us to expand our understanding of reality? Hex turned to her, a slow grin spreading across his face. What did you have in mind? The plan was audacious, risky, and quite possibly insane. In other words, it was a typical Tuesday for the crew of the Reasonable Doubt. Step 1. Invite the Galactic Council to Earth for a diplomatic summit. Step 2. Introduce them to Murphy in a carefully controlled environment. Step 3. Hope that exposure to the creature's reality-bending presence would open their minds to new possibilities rather than sending them fleeing in terror. This is either going to be a breakthrough in intergalactic relations or the start of a war, Jack remarked as they prepared for the Council's arrival. I honestly can't tell which is more likely at this point. Have a little faith, Pex clapped him on the shoulder. We're the crew of the reasonable doubt. Doing the impossible is kind of our thing. The summit was held in a specially constructed facility on the outskirts of New Geneva, the gleaming capital of Earth's global government. The building was a marvel of engineering, designed to withstand everything from quantum fluctuations to temporal paradoxes. It was, in theory, the perfect place to introduce the galaxy's most powerful beings to its most chaotic element. Theory, however, had a way of unraveling in Murphy's presence. The council members arrived in a blaze of pomp and circumstance, their ships descending from the heavens like a fleet of angry gods. They were greeted by a delegation of Earth's finest diplomats, scientists, and military leaders, all of whom had been briefed on the delicate nature of the situation. Welcome to Earth, Admiral Chen said, bowing deeply as the council disembarked. We are honored by your presence and eager to begin our discussions. Ambassador Xyloth, a towering figure with luminous green skin and eyes that glowed like miniature stars, stepped forward. Let us dispense with the pleasantries, Admiral. We are here for one reason and one reason only, to secure the containment of the entity known as Murphy. Of course, the Admiral replied smoothly. If you'll follow me, we have prepared a demonstration that we believe will allay your concerns. As the delegation made its way into the facility, Pex and his crew exchanged nervous glances. This was the moment of truth, the point of no return. If they couldn't convince the council that Murphy was more than just a threat, the consequences could be catastrophic. They entered the main chamber, a vast, circular room dominated by a massive holographic display. In the center of the room, surrounded by a shimmering force field, was Murphy. The council members recoiled instinctively at the sight of the creature, their faces contorted with a mixture of fear and revulsion. Murphy, for its part, seemed entirely unconcerned by their presence. It was currently engaged in turning a potted plant into a miniature black hole, which it then proceeded to bat around like a ball of yarn. As you can see, Mira began, stepping forward, Murphy's abilities are indeed extraordinary. But they are not inherently destructive. In fact, we believe that they hold the key to unlocking a deeper understanding of the universe itself. She gestured to the holographic display, which sprang to life with a dizzying array of equations, diagrams, and simulations. Through our studies of Murphy, we have made breakthroughs in fields ranging from quantum mechanics to cosmology. We have glimpsed the fundamental building blocks of reality and begun to understand the true nature of space and time. The council members looked on skeptically, their eyes flickering between Murphy and the display. And what of the risks? Ambassador Xyloth demanded. What guarantee do we have that this creature will not unleash chaos upon the galaxy? There are no guarantees in science, Luna replied evenly. But there is something more powerful than fear, curiosity. The desire to explore, to discover, to push the boundaries of what is possible. That is what Murphy represents, not a threat, but an opportunity. As if on cue, Murphy chose that moment to phase through the force field and materialize on Ambassador Xyloth's shoulder. The Zorian let out a yelp of surprise and stumbled backward, his arms flailing comically. But instead of attacking or causing harm, Murphy simply curled up and began to purr, its luminous eyes half-closed in contentment. Slowly, tentatively, Xyloth reached up and stroked the creature's iridescent fur. A look of wonder spread across his face, followed by a bark of laughter. By the stars, he murmured, shaking his head. Perhaps there is something to what you say after all. In the end, it was not the logic of Myra's arguments or the weight of Luna's evidence that swayed the council. It was the simple, undeniable fact of Murphy's presence, the way it seemed to twist reality around itself like a kaleidoscope, revealing new patterns and possibilities with every breath. The council members left Earth not with a prisoner or a treaty, but with a new understanding of the universe and their place within it. They had looked into the face of chaos and found not a monster, but a mirror. For Pex and his crew, it was a moment of triumph, a validation of everything they had risked and sacrificed in the name of discovery. But it was also a beginning, a first step on a journey that would take them beyond the boundaries of the known and into the uncharted depths of the cosmos. With Murphy by their side, they set out to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no human, or feline, had gone before. And though the path ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty, they knew that they would face it the same way they had faced every challenge thus far, together. The Reasonable Doubt sailed on into the stars, its crew united by a bond that transcended species and defied explanation. They were explorers, adventurers, and maybe, just maybe, the galaxy's best hope for a brighter tomorrow. And if all else failed, they always had Murphy to keep things interesting. Months turned into years as the Reasonable Doubt roamed the stars, its crew exploring the farthest reaches of the galaxy with Murphy as their constant companion. They discovered wonders beyond imagining, worlds where time flowed backward, nebulae that sang in haunting harmonies, and civilizations so alien that they defied comprehension. Through it all, Murphy remained an enigma, a being of boundless chaos and infinite possibility. It would disappear for days on end, only to reappear with a new trick or a reality-bending surprise. One day it might turn the ship's food replicators into portals to alternate dimensions, the next, it might decide to rearrange the stars themselves into a cosmic smiley face. But for all its mischief and mayhem, Murphy had become more than just a mascot or a scientific curiosity. It was a member of the crew, as integral to the Reasonable Doubt's mission as any of its human or AI companions. You know, Pex mused one evening as he watched Murphy chase a ball of quantum entanglement through the ship's corridors, I used to think that the universe was a pretty straightforward place. You know, cause and effect, action and reaction, all neat and tidy. And now? Luna asked, raising an eyebrow. Pex grinned. Now I think it's more like a big, crazy game of improv jazz. And we're just lucky enough to be playing along. As the years passed, the Reasonable Doubt's exploits became the stuff of legend. They were the crew who had tamed the untamable, who had gazed into the heart of chaos and come out laughing. They were heroes, explorers, and maybe just a little bit mad. But even the wildest of rides must come to an end, and for Pex and his crew, that end came in the form of a distress call from the very edge of the known universe. "It's a Zorian ship," Jack reported, frowning at the readouts on his console. "They're under attack by an unknown assailant." Unknown. Pex leaned forward in his chair. "As in, not in our databases?" "As in, not in anyone's databases," Jack confirmed grimly. "Whatever it is, it's like nothing we've ever seen before." Pex exchanged a glance with Luna, who nodded almost imperceptibly. They both knew what they had to do. "Set a course," Pex ordered, his voice steady. "We're going in." As the Reasonable Doubt dropped out of warp at the coordinates of the distress call, they found themselves in the midst of a battlefield. The Zorian ship, a sleek, silver craft bristling with weapons, was locked in desperate combat with a thing that defied description. It was vast, a swirling mass of darkness and light that seemed to warp the very fabric of space around it. Tendrils of energy lashed out from its core, tearing through the Zorian ship's shields like tissue paper. "What in the seven hells is that?" Mira breathed, her eyes wide. "Trouble," Pex replied, his jaw set. "Hail the Zorian ship. Tell them we're here to assist." But even as Jack opened a channel, the creature turned its attention to the Reasonable Doubt. A beam of searing, otherworldly energy slammed into the ship's shields, sending shudders through the hull. "Shields down to 60%. Luna reported, her fingers flying over her console. "Whatever that thing is, it packs a punch." Pex gritted his teeth. "Return fire, all weapons. We need to buy the Zorians some time." The reasonable doubt's arsenal lit up the void like a supernova, pouring a relentless stream of energy into the creature. But for all the firepower they unleashed, the thing seemed barely fazed. "It's no use," Jack said, his voice tight. "Our weapons are just passing right through it." Peck slammed a fist on his armrest. "Then we need to try something else. Mira, Luna, I want options." As the two scientists conferred frantically, Murphy sat up from its perch on the captain's chair. Its eyes, usually a playful, swirling kaleidoscope, had turned a deep, unsettling black. "Murphy?" Pex asked, a note of concern in his voice. "What is it, buddy?" But Murphy didn't respond. Instead, it leaped down from the chair and bounded toward the front of the bridge, its form beginning to glow with an eerie, pulsing light. "Captain!" Luna exclaimed, her voice rising in alarm. "Murphy's readings are going off the charts. It's doing something to the fabric of space-time itself." Before Pex could respond, Murphy let out a yowl that seemed to shake the very foundations of reality. A wave of shimmering, iridescent energy burst from its small form, washing over the bridge like a tide of liquid possibility. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, the battle was over. The creature, the Zorian ship, the very stars themselves, all of it was gone, replaced by an endless expanse of shimmering, shifting light. "Where are we?" Jack asked, his voice hushed with awe. "I don't know," Pex replied, staring out at the impossible vista before them. "But I think Murphy just took us beyond the edge of the universe itself." The reasonable doubt drifted through the shimmering expanse, its sensors struggling to make sense of the impossible readings that surrounded them. Murphy sat at the center of the bridge, its form pulsing with the same eerie light that had transported them to this strange, otherworldly realm. "Where did you take us, Murphy?" Pex asked softly, crouching down to meet the creature's gaze. "What is this place?" Murphy let out a low, rumbling purr, and suddenly the light around them coalesced into a swirling vortex of images and sensations. Pex and his crew found themselves hurtling through a kaleidoscope of realities, each one more bizarre and breathtaking than the last. They saw worlds where life had evolved in ways that defied imagination, where sentient stars danced in cosmic ballets and planets were born from the dreams of slumbering gods. They witnessed the birth and death of universes, the rise and fall of civilizations so ancient and advanced that they made humanity's greatest achievements seem like the scratchings of a child. And through it all, one thing became clear: Murphy was far more than just a reality-bending feline. It was a conduit, a bridge between the infinite possibilities of the multiverse. "My God," Mira breathed, tears streaming down her face. It's showing us the true nature of existence itself." Luna nodded, her eyes wide with wonder. "All this time, we thought Murphy was just a pet, a mascot. But it's so much more than that. It's a guide, a teacher." As the visions faded and the reasonable doubt returned to the shimmering expanse, Pex turned to his crew with a newfound sense of purpose. "We have been given a great gift," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "A chance to see the universe as it truly is, in all its infinite complexity and beauty. And with that gift comes a responsibility." He looked down at Murphy, who gazed back at him with eyes that glowed with ancient wisdom. "We must be the bridge, just as Murphy is. We must share what we have learned, use our knowledge to bring the wonders of the multiverse to all those who seek it." And so, the crew of the Reasonable Doubt began their greatest adventure yet. With Murphy as their guide, they traversed the boundaries of reality itself, learning and exploring and marveling at the endless miracles of existence. They met beings of pure energy who sang the songs of creation, danced with sentient nebulae in the heart of newborn stars, and walked in the dreams of slumbering gods. They became the stuff of legend, the explorers who had seen beyond the veil and returned forever changed. And through it all, Murphy remained a constant presence, a reminder of the boundless possibilities that lay waiting to be discovered. It would curl up on Pex's lap as he pored over star charts and ancient texts, purring softly as if to say, "Keep going, keep seeking, keep dreaming." Years turned to decades, and decades to centuries, as the reasonable doubt wandered the infinite expanse of the multiverse. The original crew grew old and passed the torch to new generations of explorers, each one guided by Murphy's timeless wisdom. And though the faces changed and the ship itself underwent countless repairs and upgrades, one thing remained constant: the spirit of adventure, the unquenchable thirst for knowledge and understanding that had driven humanity to the stars so long ago. In the end, it was not the technology or the firepower or even the indomitable human spirit that reshaped the cosmos. It was a small, reality-bending creature with a penchant for mischief and an uncanny knack for revealing the wonders of the universe. For in the grand tapestry of existence, even the most seemingly insignificant threads can hold the key to unlocking the greatest mysteries of all. And so, the legend of Murphy in the Reasonable Doubt lived on, a testament to the power of curiosity, the joy of discovery, and the endless, awe-inspiring beauty of the multiverse. The end.